What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we'll be joined by Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder to try and gauge where the Thunder are at organizationally. Is next year just about development, or is this year where they want to start piecing together some wins? What does Chet Holmgren bring to the table? What about the additions that the Thunder have made across this offseason? But first, we have a quick message from our friends over at Rocket Money. If you keep saying that you need to make a budget but never do it, if somehow you keep missing credit card payments, if you're afraid to even look at your bank statement, then it's time to take back control of your financial life. Meet Rocket Money, formerly Truebill, our favorite financial app. So why did Truebill change its name to Rocket Money? Truebill, now backed by Rocket Companies, has grown from a bill management app into a full-on personal finance empowerment tool that helps over 3.4 million people with budgeting, lowering bills, canceling subscriptions, and more, saving each of their members on average $700 a year. And with all that growth comes the next evolution in Truebill's story, a new name. Bottom line, Rocket Money is everything about Truebill, but with a fresh new look and feel. Start canceling your unused subscriptions and save money at rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonnba, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Joining us now is Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder. You can follow on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Now, Rylan, as we approach this next NBA season, kind of trying to take a look at the OKC Thunder, what, in your eyes, is kind of the primary goal of the Thunder team this next season? Is it still development, first and foremost, above all else, or is this maybe the year where you kind of hope to see some wins start to translate in OKC?
I still think that this year is focusing on player development and focusing on the group that you have. I think that the roster is finally at a point where at every sense of the game, at every point in the game, you're going to have guys on the floor who you care about and who you think can impact the future of Thunder basketball. You mix that with the coaching staff improvements, bringing in Chip Engelland, the renowned and one of the best shooting coaches, if not the best shooting coach in the NBA. That helps a ton as well. I think that you're focusing on player development. It's a very, very young team still, and young teams typically don't have wins translate on their record their first year together. But this team is very talented, very young, and I think that you're going to focus on development. And if wins come, they come, and you kind of readjust. But the plan going in, I think, is just how can the team get better individually.
You mentioned that there very briefly the addition of Chip Engelland, who, the shooting coach largely credited for Kawhi Leonard's transformation while in San Antonio. What are you kind of hoping to see him achieve in OKC, and how huge of an addition is he to this OKC team?
I think that with this hire, and even Vince Rossman as well, coming over from Philadelphia, I think that it just sends another message to the fan base that the rebuild is heading in the right direction. These are two guys who are staples of organizations. San Antonio for Chip, for Vince it was Philadelphia, and for Vince Rossman. I mean, you survive 2, 3, 4 regime changes in the front office, and you're still there. That shows how valuable you truly are, because a guy didn't fire you to bring in his own guy. Same thing for Chip Engelland, of course, surviving in San Antonio for that long with Popovich. It shows the value that he brings to a team and can help identify guys who can improve shooting the basketball. So getting those two guys to sign on to this rebuild shows that they believe this thing is in the right direction, in my opinion. And then also, just for Chip Engelland's sake, how many guys can he sprinkle that magic to? I think that the number one guy is Josh Giddey. If you get him to be an above average shooter from three, that really opens up his ceiling and opens up his game long term in the NBA. And then how many other guys are going to get the benefit of that? Literally, this team was the worst three-point shooting team last year. You can list every single player on the roster and say they need to work with Chip Engelland. He can't fix them all, but if he fixes a few of them, then the ceiling gets even larger for these young players.
Yeah, what in your mind is a serviceable 3-point shooting percentage for Josh Giddey? Like, what would you be content with if we're checking in sometime next summer into the season? What would you be happy with for a 3-point percentage for Josh Giddey?
I think that you look at the numbers and you see how he's an elite passer in the 98th percentile passing the ball according to Basketball Index. We already know he can play make. He has that floater, and off of that floater comes playmaking as well, driving, kick, and those sort of things around the rim. If you have to respect Josh Giddey and go above the free throw line extended to kind of guard him at the three-point line, then he can start to dictate you with his playmaking and dribbling. And you saw him going more full head of steam at the rim in summer league even, and improving that part of his game. I think that with Josh Giddey, you're looking for like 35, 36, 37% from three. And if he falls anywhere in that range, I'd be extremely happy, because that means that he's added another level, another arsenal to his game to help him achieve great things in the NBA.
Now, Rylan, this OKC team, it feels like they have so many mouths to feed as far as just young guys, a lot of talent up and down the roster. But eventually, I feel like a lot of rebuilding teams kind of start to encounter this problem is you have so many mouths to feed and not enough minutes to go around. So how does Mark Daigneault kind of balance giving everyone on this Thunder team adequate run? And, who do you maybe see possibly getting squeezed from the rotation, or who maybe will spend some time, at the G League level with the OKC Blue this upcoming season?
I think that everyone outside of Chet Holmgren will spend time with the OKC Blue this year in terms of the picks, and that's been the trend for the Thunder these last couple of years. I mean, last year, even as good as Jeremiah Robinson-Earl's rookie year was, he was with the Blue. Even as good as Trey Mann was, he went for a 30-piece against the best defense in the NBA and had a couple more 29-point outings. He still played with the G League team as well. So like they are accustomed to sending guys to the G League and not viewing it as a demotion, but more so just you have to get reps. A guy who I think will go down there as Ousmane Dieng. I think that Ousmane Dieng is a guy who the Thunder see long-term as a fit for them, and they picked him behind the lottery. They traded 3 first-round picks to go get him. You can throw away those Sam Presti first-round pick jokes all you want to, because he did invest them into this guy, Ousmane Dieng. But on the surface level right now, I think that the pathway for him to develop specifically is that G League route, because then you can allow him to play on ball, which he doesn't get many on ball minutes in the NBA as the roster is currently constructed. But you also get him to play off ball in an unpressurized environment where he can just try things out down there when playing off ball and seeing how that works for him offensively. Kind of one of the key focal points for him will be how that translates whenever you have to play with Josh Giddey and SGA. You can't play on ball all of that often. But when you look at this roster, there's a lot of interesting guys, but the ones you have to throw minutes to are Josh Giddey, SGA, Chet Holmgren. I think that it's Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, Trey Mann, Lou Dort, Kenrich Williams. Like, they need minutes. The rest of them, I mean, would it shock you if Aaron Wiggins is bouncing back and forth to the G League because he can't get minutes in the NBA? Maybe a little bit. I have him in my 2-deep roster right now, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Taylor Maldon and Vit Krejci, two guys that are very young, aren't even on this team come October 19th, much less are going to the G League and things of that nature. So the Thunder minutes will be interesting, but I do think that it's going to clear itself up naturally just from the sense of they're comfortable with the G League, and it's literally in their own building. That's a huge plus. You're not sending these guys across the country to go play in the G League like the Blue play in the Paycom Center, just like the Thunder do. So you can send these guys down and call them back up within 3 hours, and it's not viewed as a demotion, or you're not disattached from the NBA organization. That's a big plus. And then, of course, injuries are going to happen. Guys are going to get bumped and bruised, and they're going to be out for a game where, okay, here's your shot, Poku. Here's a 20-minute night after not playing for the last 2 games. And you can kind of see how that gels within an NBA season.
I feel like that Sam Presti first-round pick joke was a bit of a targeted shot there, Rylan. I love me some good Sam Presti first-round pick jokes, but maybe I will have to do away with those, at least for the time being, because it has been nice to see the Thunder actually use some of those first-round picks from the hoard that he's got, sitting behind his desk over there in OKC. But taking a look at what the Thunder have done, what to you has been the best move, or the biggest move at least so far, of the offseason for the Thunder?
To me, it's been, of course, drafting Chet Holmgren, and that of course is due to the lottery luck. So do you want to count that as a move for the Thunder itself? But I think that it shows also that whenever you had that surprise pick, and I'm sure you're the same way at the team facility, just shocked whenever the Magic go Paulo Banchero. Whenever you have that surprise, to still stay with Chet Holmgren kind of just reaffirmed that was Sam Presti's guy, and he has a track record. If he picks you in the top 10, he's going to be right. I mean, we can talk about the draft misses on Perry Jones, but in the top 10, he's been amazing. And so for him to single Chet Holmgren out, and even with that surprise maneuver of Jabari Smith, my 1-1, falling past the Magic, he didn't waver or change his course. To me, that shows just how much he believes in Chet Holmgren. And if Sam Presti believes in you, that's always a good sign. I do also like the extension for Kenny Hustle and re-signing Lou Dort to a long-term deal, because I think that those extensions do not hamper you in any way. In fact, they give you even more flexibility, because those two guys, I think, are on deals that, as this cap begins to rise and as their play continues to match what they did last year and the year prior in OKC, they're still very tradable. And so if you trade those two guys plus 3 first-round picks, 4 first-round picks, what kind of sweepstakes can you get into for the next disgruntled star? So you haven't taken yourself out of that market by any means by signing these guys to long-term deals. In fact, you've helped your case because you need money to trade to get back some of these big-time guys that are going to be demanding out next year. It's just the way the NBA works. Every summer there's somebody that wants out of their situation. So the Thunder have prepared themselves to take a ton of different routes here. And if this young core works out and you don't want to go get a guy, then of course they complement your core as well in Dort and Wim. So I like what they've done this offseason. I don't really think there's been a bad move this summer. So it's kind of all good. But of course the addition of Chet Holmgren is either going to make or break how long this thing takes in OKC.
You talk about Sam Presti's confidence, right, in sticking with Chet Holmgren. What about your confidence in Chet Holmgren? What about his Rookie of the Year odds? How you feeling there, Rylan?
I think that he has a chance to do it because he's going to be given the keys in the sense of last year, Mark started Josh Giddey every game that Josh Giddey was healthy for. He'll do the same thing for Chet Holmgren. And then Chet Holmgren will have all the eyes on him. He'll get the block numbers up. That'll look eye-popping on a box score. He's a big man that might shoot, 38, 39% from three. That'll be eye-popping as well. He's just gonna have a really well-rounded year. If I had to bet my money right now at BetOnline, I would stick it on Paolo Banchero, but I do like Chet Holmgren's Rookie of the Year odds for me.
It'll be bittersweet when Chet Holmgren runs up second in Rookie of the Year voting to Jabari Smith Jr. But what do the Thunder look like next season? Will Chip Engelland be able to transform Josh Giddey's shot moving forward? You're going to have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Thunder. Rylan, appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Thanks for having me.